Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Married to Medicine, Season 11, Episode 15, the season finale.
Listen here, I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Make sure y'all watch out this week. We're going to drop a lot of deep dives on Married at First Sight because there's a lot of things that has happened, even some previews from the reunion come out that I just want to touch on just a little bit because I think it really supports our theory on what we've been saying this whole season. You feel me?
Yes.
You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Walk me through it.
All right. So Toya has her party planners over. She's going for the Bridgerton romance type of vision. It's about beating the odds in their 16th anniversary, and she wants to keep the party under $25K.
Okay.
She is going to invite all of the ladies, but for some reason, she's not getting an RSVP from Greg or T. Mm-hmm. Quad and King have RSVP'd.
Listen here.
And Toya wants the lobster biscuits from Red Lobster. And I would say have at it. I don't care. No. I don't care if it's of the time or not. Those biscuits are good.
I'm going to tell y'all something, man. We need to start with the nostalgia of things and things of that nature. Listen, the Red Lobster biscuits was not enough to almost keep Red Lobster from shutting down. The Red Lobster biscuit is overrated. Yeah, I said it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I said it. Like, listen here. I understand back in the day, it probably was a unique thing. You probably never heard of it. The biscuits from that time have come out that has been better than the Red Lobster biscuits. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I take Church's biscuits, honey biscuits, over a Red Lobster.
I'm not going to argue with you there.
Thank you. I'm about to say, I take that. Yeah. When it comes to this, listen here. What we are about to see is what I've been saying throughout this whole season. We about to watch Sweet Tea basically get fired on TV while she's on the show.
They wrap her up and everything, boy.
Pretty much. like that's basically what we're about to watch.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
All right. So Sweet Tea and Dr. G go out for lunch. Mm-hmm. He has been hurt from the group, but Sweet Tea wants to support Toya by going to her event. Toya said that she felt like she would have to choose, but Sweet Tea doesn't want to beg to be part of the group.
Yeah.
It's not fair or nice for them to not be nice to her based off of Dr. G's actions or decisions. Mm-hmm. Dr. G had to explain himself again to the guys at Contessa's event, and they really want him to drop this whole him and King pressing charges type of thing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's time G and T do their own thing.
Do you think Dr. G was the one that kind of like, with him pressing the charges, do you think that it was him that kind of made Sweet Tea's employment on the show kind of like in jeopardy with the pressing of the charges?
Yes. Yeah, I feel like they probably felt like he took it too far, which they said themselves. They think that he took it too far. And that caused like a real fracture division in the group. And I'll put it like this. They've had so many fractures and divisions in this group. It's crazy. So It's not like it hasn't happened before. They fractured to the point of they wanted to get Quad off and keep that fracture, going.
And they still do.
Right. And they still low-key do. But I think that with T, for her being a newbie and her needing to come in humble and kiss the ring, so to speak, as this cast tends to do with new people, you can't come in and just start shaking stuff up because they have a hierarchy and a way of doing things, which is good and bad for the show all in the same. So what about you?
Yeah. I want to say yes, but at the same time, I also want to say no, because here's why I want to say no. Her position on the show was already determined the minute that she was on casted for the show. I know it may not feel that way. I know it may not look that way, but we have been watching this show. We have been watching reality TV for a long time. So when T was first cast on the show to be employed by the show, it was to specifically get Quad off the show.
It was.
That was her goal. Her goal, the goal of Sweet Tea was not to grow the show. It was not to basically grow friendships. It wasn't for her to join a group. It wasn't for her to it was for her to basically poke at Quad, right? To get Quad to feel uncomfortable that Quad leaves the show. After that, there is no reason for them to keep Sweet Tea. I'm going off of their POV. You get what I'm saying? Now we're talking about charges and basically the whole fighting King or King trying to fight him and no one got touched and now he's bringing police into it. It comes off as this: Greg, you're doing too much main character things for someone that is a supporting character on the show. The men don't get paid.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And the Married to Medicine is supposed to be basically centered around Dr. Jackie, Dr. Simone, You get what I'm saying? Married to Medicine. Basically, we gonna show the lives of basically these women who are basically have a job and they are basically married to their careers, but also the men is not basically, it's not like Housewives where it's like, oh yeah, my man is this and my man is the doctor, and like the women is basically showing their lives. It's like, no, these women are the main attraction. So the fact that Greg is basically, this is his main story and it's kind of becoming the main story of the show, I think they like, you know what, we want to get back to where it's centered around us and not around Greg. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I really have nothing against that. I think if Greg want to go so far to press charges and things like that, why press charges? Why don't you remove yourself from the whole thing completely?
Good question.
Like just like forget the pressing charges. Just say, you know what? This is a show that is centered around the women, my wife. I will not be around because I don't get paid anyway. So
but I think in a sense, that's harder for Married to Medicine because the relationship dynamic is part of the show. They go on couples trips and have, content about their relationship dynamics. So it's
I understand that, but
for him to completely X himself out, T would have to go.
But my thing is, like, T can go, but I'm saying Greg don't have to go. I'm saying like T is employed by the show. Yes. Dr. Greg is not. Yeah. Right? And my thing is, as far as I know, King is not engaged to Quad. Mm-hmm. So in my head, I'm like, put it like this. Let's stop making it about the men, because all this is about Greg and King. Let's stop making it about the men. Hey, Quad, until you are engaged with King or things of that nature, we're not going to center it around King either. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of sad, but it's like I saw it coming. Mm-hmm. I saw it coming. They say, Sweet Tea, thank you for your services. But we try to get Quad out. Quad's not leaving. We got to figure out another plan. And from what the previews we see, the other plans go be Simone just attack her. Yeah. Like that's basically what it is.
So the ladies are all getting dressed, practicing their dances with their husbands. Yeah. We see Scott slide on the floor and come in like a Prince or somebody.
Mm-hmm. Little Richard.
Little Richard. Mm-hmm. While Contessa's getting ready. Toya wants everyone to come. She's told T that she was welcome, and T wanted to make sure Greg was good, so she's not 100% sure if they're coming or not. Yeah. Eugene thinks that the group should be able to come together for a nice event. Mm-hmm. Toya will give the Luncfords the 8 to 9 slot, and then Quad and King get to party into the night. That's wow. They get to come for the main event. And I thought that was really funny when I was like, dang, they only get an hour? Mm-hmm. 1 hour? And then when we saw it, they were only at the cocktail hour. They didn't even get to the real party. Mm-hmm. So anyway, King sees the attempted assault charge was as the only way that G could get them to not come around the group. He's telling Quad that, and he pretty much sees G for his intentions.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like this. It would have been better, in my opinion, if Dr. Greg just would have been like, you know what, I'm going to remove myself, Sweet Tea. This is your job. You need to still show up to work. And I understand that we want to see the husbands and things like that, but Curtis don't do anything. Damon don't even be there most of the time because he's at work. So, like, let's not act like, oh, Dr. G have to be there. He doesn't have to be there, right? So it's the idea that she is following her husband, which I believe outside of a reality TV show, okay, this is marriage. You're supposed to be one unit. But he is dictating how she is showing up at her job. Yeah. When the show is centered around her. Yeah. Dude, you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm like, if he's a supporting character, he is now becoming the main character and saying, you know what, I can't be around him. Wait a minute, this is my job. Mm-hmm. Right? If you can't be around him, then you don't need to show up, Dr. G. I got to show up for an hour, maybe even 45 minutes, depending on what time I got there, right? And I can't even partake in something that will help me grow, number one, in the group. Right. Something that will forge more friendships. But now they see me basically following behind Greg, who is not the main attraction of the show. And I'm like, even though I can agree and support Sweet Tea's decision in following her husband, following her spouse, you got to understand that by you choosing that, by Toya and Mimi sitting down with you as if like it's the Godfather, basically you meeting with the Don, and she said, I know, this what Toya said. Toya said, I know what your husband think, but what do you think, right? Because Toya basically let you know, whatever you say here, I'm going to take it back to the ladies, and we going to make our decision on if you going to be here next season. And Sweet Tea is basically like, you're not going to make me go against my husband. Well, guess what? You're going to be here for an hour. Yeah. You're going to be here for an hour. And that's wild. Mm-hmm. That's wild.
So we get to the Georgiaton event.
Yeah.
All the guests are arriving. Eugene and Toya, as well as some of the main cast, arrive in horse and carriages, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Eugene's foot is still broken, and so Simone calls him Dr. Limp a lot. Greg and T end up arriving at 8, so they get to have their full hour, to party it up. Toya is grateful that they put themselves aside to support her and Eugene.
Yeah.
T has someone bring a Georgiaton Chronicles report in, and this report was pretty much making digs at all the cast members, Curtis being handsy and saying how T has a target on her back. Jackie ends up ripping it up and calling it trash.
Now, T tried to do this, and now everybody's ripping it up.
Yeah.
It was a lot to read. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah. I just think that it's just unfortunate because this, I felt like, was a cute little thing to come into the event with. I thought that it was like, okay, this is something that's going to get the party started, get the ladies talking, but they don't respect her.
No.
And so because they don't respect her, they little girl her every chance they can and disregard her in every single way. And I thought that was they can respond to it however they want to, but I feel like if it was anybody else, there might have been more conversation around it, but they're just like, we don't care what she got to say.
Well, let's go a little deeper.
Okay.
Right? Since we almost done with the show anyway, right?
Yeah.
We already know Dr. Jackie was going to rip it up and call
Absolutely.
it her. Like, do you, and you said it yourself, when you went at Dr. Jackie as a new person on the show, right? I understand a lot of people feel like Dr. Jackie needs to be replaced and she basically don't pull her weight. We see the thing that came out with her with black mothers and black pregnant women and things like that she apologized for. But when you come at Dr. Jackie, I understand how we feel. We got to be real, though. She's the highest rank on the show. She's the one in the middle. If we want to go Real Housewives of Atlanta or any show, she's the one in the middle holding whatever medical tool she uses, right? And when she said to Dr. Jackie, F you, about something that she saw on TV, she wasn't even on the show, based off of what happened with her and things like that. Like, you didn't support me, but when things was happening to you, like, Sweet Tea, now you're a fan and also on the show at the same time. And she said, F you basically sealed your fate. My question to you, Blair, is, do you think there is a thing to where, okay, I'm new here and I have to play the game with the people who are the anchors of the show? Basically, I have to kiss the ring if I want to still be on the show.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like everywhere you go, there's an element of playing the game, unless you're working for yourself.
Yeah.
But even if you're facing customers and, people, like you're, facing people, like there is a game to be played as far as, cooing people's egos and all this type of stuff. So there's always a game to be played to be in good favor with people in whatever groups that you're in. You can still be authentically, genuinely yourself, but you have to be able to pick and choose your battles. And I think it's unfair because T unknowingly came into the group as the underdog when she thought she was actually forming genuine relationships and friendships with these women. Even at this party, she's saying, well, I do still have some friends here and I do want to make sure that I'm keeping up my connections and supporting Toya, because Toya did appear to be a friend to her. All this stuff we're seeing now about her calling her an idiot and everything like that, I'm just like,
wow.
Whoa, Toya, you was like her lifeline at one moment to the group. So just to see all that, I'm just like, T didn't know that she was walking into this as the underdog. Yeah.
And my thing is, I think it's naive of you to think, or to not think you're walking into this as the underdog. I understand, and I'm not trying to be someone that's like, oh my goodness, we all are equal. Listen, we all should be equal, right? But doctors have egos. Do you know how much egos doctors have? When you're sick and you're in the hospital, right? Who do you see most of the time? Not your doctor. Right?
Nurses and the
you
techs.
see the nurses and the techs, right? The doctor come in, this what's wrong with you, this what needs to be done, I'm out. Right? Out of the whole 24 hours you may be there, you may get 15 minutes of that doctor time out of the whole 24 time. So like, it's the whole idea that you think that you're going to come in as not a doctor yourself, right? As someone who is almost 20 years younger than the one you're marrying. So they already looking at you like you are a gold digger basically, right? And you're basically following the same footsteps as Quad. They did not respect Quad the same way as they did not respect Toya. So I think it's naive for you to think that you was going to build real relationships. Contessa came in. She was supposed to be your lifeline. She's friends with Heavily again, so that's gone. Phaedra, she don't want to be on the show. That's like supposed to be your other lifeline. You're by yourself. And it's unfortunate, but they hired you to get Quad off the show, and apparently they looking at Quad like, I guess Quad gonna be here for another season.
Yeah.
And you're not.
So the guys talked to Dr. G. He is going to let the group handle the situation with King.
Yeah.
He is not going to move forward with any charges.
Okay.
He has to own his own responsibilities, but he still has strong feelings about the situation. Contessa is asking T and Dr. G to stay. Toya and Simone walk up over there trying to figure out, why is Contessa trying to tell them to stay here? Like, we have a set time of what's going on. These people only got an hour to party.
Yeah.
So Toya and Simone say Heavenly and Quad are on their way. Because of that, y'all probably just don't want to be in the same room at all. So then Contessa is asking if T wants to stay, and T says she would like to stay. And Dr. G has to pipe up and say, you know what, we're going to respect your party. We're going to respect the time that you gave us. So you guys enjoy your party, and we're going to go ahead and head out. And then T was just like, yeah, actually, that is a good good idea. So it does, and I hate to use the mature thing or immature thing against T, but I do think that some of the ways that she handles things is probably fueled by hurt. By the fact that she thought that she was coming into this friend group and actually building real connections, and wanting to make her stand and make her voice known, which she has the right to. She's a equal cast member. She's getting paid.
Yeah.
She deserves to show up how she wants to show up on the show. But at the same time, in this moment, bow out was necessary, and I'm glad Dr. G took the lead on that. So.
Yeah, and listen, I'm trying to be fair, but I'm also trying to implement how the real world works. Yes, we all get paid. I'm a cast member on the show, but we all don't get paid the same. Right. And based on your paycheck compared to my paycheck, you need to go. You're here for an hour. And it's sad and it's unfortunate, because when Sweet Tea signed up to be on the show, I'm positive this is not what she envisioned to be on the show. To not be part of the drive as much, to not be able to go to people's houses and lounge and basically be married and talk and laugh and not be part of the events fully. Gotta basically come, get dressed up and all of this just to be there for an hour or less.
It's
right?
unfair. It is unfair.
It's unfair. And it's unfair. And like I said, I want to point the finger at Dr. Heavily. I want to point the finger at Dr. Jackie. I want to point the finger at Dr. Simone, because at the end of the day, y'all are the leaders of the show. I understand that Simone loved to say Dr. Heavily ain't the queen of the show. Well, guess what? Simone, you have been trying to get Quad off the show for the past 3 seasons, and guess who's been vetoing it every time? Dr. Heavily. So she may not be the queen, but guess what? She's definitely the president, to where you can make whatever law you want to do, and she can sign off like, yeah, that's not happening. Right? So here's the thing about it, right? I'm going to put the responsibility, right, not on Toya. I'm going to put the responsibility on Dr. Jackie, Dr. Simone, Dr. Heavily. Maybe not Dr. Heavily, because we see Dr. Heavily showing up with Quad and stuff, because Dr. Heavily going to attach herself to whoever is the fan favorite, things of that nature. That's how sneaky she is sometimes, right? Dr. Jackie, if you're not going to be the one that going to show your life a lot outside of your workspace, you also need to be one of the mediators of the show. You and Simone, I know this is gonna be hard for Dr. Simone to be a mediator when it seems like she has a something personal against Quad, but we need to see, hey, instead of Dr. Greg and King and Toya and everybody's coming into trying to mediate on somebody show up at this time and contestants like, hey, I want them at my diabetes drive, I want this and things like that. I would love to see Dr. Jackie come up and say, we're not going to do this. This is what's going to happen. Quad and King is going to come to this event, and they're going to stay at this event. Guess what? Dr. Greg and Sweet Tea is going to come to this event, and they are going to stay at this event. And we're going to act like adults, and we're going to be mature. And if you can't be that way, you can't be on the show next season. Like that's what, if Dr. Jackie is not going to show her life, I want to see her pull some of her power that she has, right? Because I do think it's not fair for her to only be there for an hour. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's craziness to me. And I understand people like to say, but Quad is not married to medicine and things like that. Quad is not married to medicine, but the show is very much centered around Quad and Dr. Heavily and things like that. I know we want to think it's centered around Dr. Jackie, but Quad is the one that give us the drama. Quad is the one that give us the entertainment, and I understand people may not feel like Quad is entertaining, but she's still here.
Yeah.
Right? My thing is, I understand that King is not King is with Quad, but he's not engaged to that woman. He's not married to that woman. And I felt like they are doing a lot for a boyfriend. For a new boyfriend at that, right? If they was engaged and married, and I understand they like to say things, hey, if someone's talking about your wife, I don't blame King. King is not married to Quad. So I'm like, they making all these accommodations for King, and he's not even engaged to Quad. That's why I'm like, hey, if you can't control your boyfriend, then like he needs to stay home. But Sweet Tea is employed by us, by this show, and Sweet Tea got her husband Greg. They are going to stay the whole time. That's what I would like to see from the leaders of the show.
Okay, so we move on, and they pretty much show us all the clips of T and Dr. Greg. Looks like they're wrapping them up for the series. They plan to take some time away from the group, so we'll see if they come back next season.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So Dr. Heavenly, Dr. Damon come in. Heavenly came in as the young Queen Charlotte.
Nice.
They introduced the cast to come down to dance in the main area with the flowers and the greenery. It was absolutely beautiful. Toya can definitely put on an event. It was beautiful. And Phaedra, of course, we know, did not come. So Eugene talks about how he met Toya, how he had became a doctor, and he had plans to be single, living out his life in Georgia, in Atlanta. But he met Toya, and he wanted her, and that's how they embarked on their 18-year journey, and this is their 16th year anniversary. He respects her and made her see the best in herself. He always told her that she was smart, and those are the things that Toya really loves and appreciates about Eugene.
Yeah.
Curtis tells the guys that Greg is open to talking and to put the situation to rest. Simone is telling Quad that Greg had time to reflect. He was embarrassed and he's wondering if they can coexist. And Quad is not interested. Toya talks about forgiveness and maybe we should pray on this. And Quad says, I can forgive you, but not put myself or my man in a bad situation. King is open to talking to Greg, but Greg would be the one to have to put forth effort.
Okay.
Quad is not making the ladies choose, so she says she's asking them to put themselves in her shoes and make the right choice. Toya thinks King is wrong for taking the bait. Heavenly says if your man doesn't stand up for you, he's a B. Simone says now we're a fractured group again, and Quad is like, we always been fractured. This ain't nothing new. They do the waltz, and that is the end of the finale.
Yeah, and one thing that Simone said, which is basically a prelude, she said, hey guys, we're about to be a fractured group again. Basically trying to put the onus on Quad.
Yeah. Like she's causing the division.
She's causing the division. That's why we was trying to get her out before, remember? Right? That's what someone was trying to do. But Quad made a great point. She said, hey, listen here. It is not my job to give the green light on if she could be here or things of that nature. If you go give me the full power of the decision, guess what? I'm not interested in this whole thing that y'all trying to put on me, forgive so they can be around. This is y'all mess that y'all made. And y'all have to lay in the bed that y'all have made and things like that. Y'all wanted to bring them on to basically try to push me out. And now y'all see that he took it too far by trying to press charges. And now y'all over here trying to say, hey, Quad, are you ready to come to like some type of middle ground with them? No, I'm not. This is my job. Right. And guess what? The show is centered around the women and not Greg. So unfortunately, I think Greg he became a main character too much in the latter part of the season and caused Sweet Tea to basically have to choose between her job or her husband. Yeah. And in real life, you always choose your spouse.
Yeah. And also, these ladies, none of them would be around their ex with their new woman. None of them.
Not one.
None of them at all.
Not one.
So for them to put Quad in this position and ask her to forgive and to try to keep the group intact, like you said, y'all made the mess. Y'all clean it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And guess what? I'm going to keep showing up with new men. Who knows? Anything else?
That's all we got.
Listen here. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. We will be back with the reunion. I think it's 3 parts, they say. Yeah. But we go drop some deep dives in between because I have some more to say and I don't want to keep y'all here for 3 hours. So look out for that. We see y'all.
Bye.
Oh, also. Oh. I'm sorry. Usually when you say bye, we leave.
Okay.
We are doing Temptation Island, right? Make sure y'all tap in with that as well. We added that to our docket. Also, Love After Lockout Love at the Lockup is coming back this Friday. Make sure y'all tap in with us on that. Now we can say bye.
Bye.
Okay.